Right then, I've just got back from your call from Nelson Hysa's main event fight on Boxment Nation. Make sure you guys check out my YouTube shorts while I was at the event for ring walks and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, we're now here to talk about Nelson Hysa in the main event. Got a win over Bracamonte in round 2. And yeah, overall, Nelson Hysa did what he had to do. He was up against a low-level guy, but Hysa did what he had to do. He got the win and he got a brutal knockout as well. He had to make a statement there and he did. I think Nelson Hysa is an interesting one to keep an eye on because he's 40 years old, but he's a very experienced amateur. So, I mean, with all the experience that he's got, I think you never know. Can he try and get in the mix with the big heavyweights? It's going to be interesting to see, in my opinion. He's got a good following from Albania, like we saw at your call today. He had a big Albanian following behind him going into the fight. And yeah, to be honest, overall with the amateur pedigree he's got, he could be a very interesting fighter who could be too experienced for many of them in the heavyweight division. He's got big power as well. 19 wins, 17 KOs, 88% KO ratio. Like, he's a dangerous puncher. I think he sets up his shots well behind his lead hand. Can be a bit slow with his movement, though. He doesn't really move his chin off center line, but I think the good thing about him, especially at heavyweight, is of course the power that he possesses, and he seems like a strong guy as well. He's strong in the clinches, can lean on you quite a bit and try and wear you out. That's a good thing about Hysa. He's a good, strong fighter. So I mean, I think overall, it's going to be interesting to see what heavyweights he can mix with it out of the top guys because, at 40 years of age, good amateur background, he's experienced. And at this point, he's shown he's got power. He fought on a good Box Nation show today at your call. Try and get him a fairly big fight. He beat a low opposition guy today, did what he had to do against them. Now try and get him a good fight. Try and get him in a big fight, possibly in the UK. He had a fight in the UK. So you never know. We could see him up against a UK guy. I wouldn't mind seeing Nelson Hysa up against someone like Joe Joyce on a Queensbury main event. Like, I would not mind that at all. Hysa's got a decent following in Albania. Joe Joyce has got a decent following here in the UK. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight at all, to be honest with you. Joe Joyce versus Nelson Hysa. Hysa's got a chance, 100%. I really do like the bodywork that Hysa's got in him, and he can wear you down there. I think he does throw combos to the body well, and he can be unpredictable with it. And, he is very, as I said earlier on in the video, he's very good at setting up his moments behind his lead hand. He's got some good, solid lead hand feints that can really put you off. I just think overall the downside about Nelson Hysa was that his overall movement can be quite slow, and at times he can be fairly sluggish. And I do wonder when the fight does go late against the higher opposition, is he going to crumble a bit? Will he tire? Will he be falling all over the place a bit and be in a real sluggish fight? That's something interesting to see, in my opinion. But yeah, Nelson Hysa, Joe Joyce, I think could be a fun fight. For Dillian White's comeback, I wouldn't mind seeing Dillian White versus Nelson Hysa at some point either. Moses Atama versus Nelson Hysa, I think Atama runs through him easily because that's Moses Atama, but I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I think it's a good step-up fight for Moses Atama. I reckon Nelson Hysa is probably a better opposition than what Dempsey McKee is, who obviously Moses Atama's fighting next. I think, Hysa can bring some issues. I think he can really challenge Joe Joyce. I think at this point in Dillian White's career, he can really challenge him. Obviously, it's looking like Chisora's fighting Miller, but I wouldn't mind seeing Derek Chisora in there with Nelson Hysa to end his career. So, I think Hysa could bring himself into some decent money fights in the UK against some good UK opposition. I mean, I doubt this fight would happen, but I wouldn't mind seeing Nelson Hysa in there with someone like Otto Wallin. And at this point, I think Nelson Hysa can win the fight. He's an experienced guy and he can wear you down. But the problem is, though, he can wear you down, But I think that only matters in like he can wear you down, but he needs to knock you out. He can't wear you down and go the distance with you. I think someone like Otto Walling's got a better gas tank than what Nelson Hysa does, for example. I think Joe Joyce has got a better gas tank than what Nelson Hysa does. Hysa needs to wear you down early and try and get you out of that. He can do it. He's capable of it, Hysa. He's got the power. We saw it today. It's just going to be interesting from here and now to see what Hysa can do when he fights bigger opposition. I think the time's now. He's just main evented at Your Call. Oh God, bring out some good fans. I think, stick Nelson Hysa in a big fight. That is what I think should happen. I mean, again, Nelson Hysa, Justice Hooney, I wouldn't mind seeing that in Australia. I don't see it happening, but, again, I think that could be a pretty fun fight, and I think it's a good fight for both guys. Hooney wants to try and build himself up. Hysa wants to try and get up as quick as possible. A fight against Justice Hooney could really get Nelson Hysa up there, and if he beats him, that's really fantastic for him. So it's very interesting stuff for Nelson Hysa. Big win for him tonight. Let's see what's next.